Call to order, Bedford Township Planning Commission, regular meeting, October 9th, 2019. Please stand if you can for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Steffen, can you take the roll call?
Ms. Tinneberry.
Here.
Mr. Zybeck.
Here.
Mr. Jenkins.
Here.
Mr. Garbrick.
Here.
Stefan is present. Mr. Fritz.
Present.
Chairman Hager.
Here. Next, we move on to the approval of the agenda. I know that Karen did give us a added thing to the packet for Pinnacle I Group. Is there anything else that,
No, it was posted that with that item, so
Yes.
the agenda is as
Perfect.
presented.
with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the agenda for tonight.
So move.
Second.
Give it
Nan-
to Nancy.
Nancy, support? All in favor?
Thank
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Next, we'll move on to the approval of the minutes of the December 25th meeting. I will entertain a motion this time for anyone that was here for that meeting.
So move.
Support.
There you go. You got it.
All right, Tom has the support. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Next, we will move on to public comment. This is for anybody that'd like to speak that's not part of the public hearing. If there's anybody that would like to speak not on that, this would be the time. Seeing that we have none, we will move on to new business. Before I open this, I would like to just review some of the things about the public hearings. This is a time for you guys to come up and discuss your questions and comments. It's to give us what you are feeling and what you want to let us know. After the public hearing is closed, then we will discuss what's going on. It's not really a question and answer time, just so you guys know. So item A is open to the public hearing regarding the request for final site plan approval and special approval to allow outdoor display of sales and special approval to allow a propane filling station for Tractor Supply in a C3 General Business District for Lambertville Mixed Use LLC located on parcel number 5802-032-05561 located on the south side of Stearns Road, east of SECOR Road, Lambertville, Michigan. I will entertain at this time a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have support?
Support.
Nancy? Can you take the roll call, Mr. Steffen?
Stefan votes yes. Ms. Tinneberry.
Yes.
Mr. Zybeck.
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins.
Yes.
Mr. Garbrick.
Yes.
Mr. Fritz.
Yes.
Chairman Hager.
Yes. Public hearing is open. Karen, would you like to
Certainly.
give us a summary?
This is quite lengthy. Again, the applicant is Lambertville Mixed Use LLC. The site plan approval and special approval. The engineer is James S. Jacobs Architect out of Monroe, Michigan. The zoning is C3 General Commercial on 3.72 acres. The subject vacant C3 commercially zoned parcel consists of 3.72 acres with approximately 66 feet of frontage on SECOR Road between Rite Aid and Splash Car Wash, and is one of the 4 parcels that is proposed to share a detention basin that is being considered for approval this evening. On October 9th, 2018, the BZA granted a frontage variance of 34 feet to allow a 66-foot frontage. The project and site description. The developer is proposing a 19,000 square foot building that is set back approximately 400 feet from the west property line, which is SECOR Road, and approximately 60 feet from the property line behind Splash Car Wash and Rite Aid, as well as approximately 418 feet from Stearns Road. In addition, proposed are a 15,000 square foot outdoor sales display area to the east of the structure, 2,537 square feet of sidewalk display area on the north side of the building, which is the front, and a 2,400 square foot trailer and/or equipment display area on the north side, or excuse me, on the east side of the parking lot, which is a special approval use as the total outdoor display sales area footage exceeds the permitted 400 square feet without special approval. It should be noted that while the frontage for this site is off SECOR Road, the building is oriented on the site to face Stearns Road, and the parking lot is located to the north of the structure. In addition, a propane filling station surrounded by 4-foot bollards and atop a concrete pad is proposed within the fenced sales display area, which is a permitted use in a C3 zoning district subject to special approval. Zoning and land use patterns, the parcel to the west, Splash Car Wash and Rite Aid, are C3 general business zone, as is the vacant 3.02 acre parcel to the north. The property to the east of the parking lot is RME, Elderly Housing Residential Zone, and is the site of the recently approved Hampton Manor of Bedford facility. And the vacant parcel to the east of the outdoor sales display area is R2A, Single Family Residential Zone, with the immediate adjacent portion of the residentially zoned parcel containing a regulated wetland, and to the east of the wetland is the location of the shared detention basin. The property to the south is a PUD with a residential and commercial use. The building setbacks and height requirements. The overall building is 40 feet in height, as indicated on the title sheet. However, the elevation sheet indicates an overall height of 30 feet above finished floor, where 40 feet is permitted by ordinance. And the front yard setback is approximately 380 feet as measured from SECOR Road right-of-way, where 52 feet is required. There's no side yard setback required where abutting commercial zoning districts. However, the structure is set back approximately 197 feet from the north property line, 40 feet from the east property line, which includes the fenced sales display area, and 57 feet from the south property line. All setbacks are in accordance with the requirements of Section 400, 1800 Schedule of Regulations. Section 400, 1303 states all building and structures, when considered collectively as a whole, shall not exceed an area greater than 25% of the net parcel area, which is the gross parcel area minus the road right-of-way. The lot coverage is calculated at 24.6%, which is within the 25% maximum coverage permitted by ordinance. Parking lot design standards. The parking lot to the north is approximately 270 feet by 183 feet, or 49,500 square feet, and contains 91 parking spaces, including 4 barrier-free spaces, 6 spaces to the rear of the building, and 3 double-length spaces for longer vehicles or vehicles with trailers. Parking space requirements are calculated at 1 space for each 250 square feet of usable floor area, which is 15,252 square feet, within the structure, which equals 61 spaces. The outdoor sales display area requires 1 space for each 500 square feet of usable area, which equals 30 spaces, totaling 91 spaces. Fencing, screening, buffering, landscaping, loading, and unloading. Regarding the dumpster location has been identified on the south side of the structure east of the loading, unloading area, with no additional screening to the enclosure to enclose the dumpster. It should be noted, Section 14-19077 screening states, refuse containers are not required to be screened from view from uses permitted in Section 1301.2 to 1302 of the C3 General Commercial District. Typically, dumpsters require their own independent screening in all other zoning districts. Regarding loading and unloading, in accordance with Section 400-1906-1B, the 70 by 12 loading-unloading area located to the south of the structure meets the requirements for the 19,000 square feet of gross floor area of the building. The ordinance only refers to building and does not address outdoor display sales areas. However, when calculating the 19,937 square feet of outdoor sales display total area, plus the structure gross floor area, 2 70 by 10 loading and unloading areas are required. It shall be verified with the applicant. The single 70 by 12 loading and unloading area will serve the loading unloading area needs for the entire site. Fencing. An 8-foot chain link fence is proposed surrounding the 15,000 square foot sales display area. It should be noted 8-foot tall fences are not permitted in C3 zoning districts. Should the applicant determine an 8-foot fence is required, the Planning Commission can consider the increased fence height through the special approval consideration. It should be noted no type of screening, such as slats or etc., is proposed on the fencing for buffering purposes. For screening buffering purposes, a 6-foot wooden fence is proposed along a portion of the south and southeast to buffer a portion of the area not included inside the fence sales display area. Landscaping. Detention basin landscaping will not be addressed in this application, as the detention basin is located on a separate parcel and will be or has been considered separately from this application. As the subject parcel consists of 66 feet of frontage, of which approximately 30 feet will be the paved ingress-egress to the site, no street plantings along SECOR Road are proposed. Cluster plantings are, however, proposed along the north and south sides of the entrance drive. Plantings are proposed along the west property line where abutting Rite Aid and a portion of Burger King, along the northwest side of the structure, around the base of the light poles in the parking lot islands, and to the east of the trailer and equipment display area. Site lighting. There are 3 single-head fixtures on 18-foot poles with 2 feet of foundation, so not to exceed the 20 feet in height as required by ordinance along the north side of the ingress-egress drive off SECOR Road, and 1 located at the east end of the fenced outdoor display area. In addition, are 4 twin-head fixtures on 18-foot poles and 2-foot foundations at the west and east ends of the parking lot, and 14 building-mounted fixtures on all 4 sides of the structure. The provided photometrics plan indicates the foot candle does not exceed that which is allowed per Section 400-1908 exterior lighting standards of the zoning ordinance. While the lighting shown on the site plan is directed downward to avoid off-site glare, a note states or similar brand with the fixture to meet the same lumens as specified. It shall be confirmed all light fixtures will be directed downward to avoid off-site glare. Architectural requirements. The front elevation shows an overall height of 30 feet above the finished floor, with building materials consisting of split-face and smooth-face concrete masonry unit, a corrugated galvanized metal panel surrounding the entry doors, and a galvanized metal awning. The west and east elevations consist of smooth-face CMU plus insulated gray tinted glass at the north ends of each side. The rear consists of smooth-face CMU minus the windows and corrugated galvanized metal. The main structure is of a tan earth tone color scheme with gray and red accents. It should be noted, Section 400-1303, Architectural Elements, states, wherever possible, variations in roof lines are encouraged to reduce the massive scale of structure and to avoid visual interest. Roofs shall have features which conceal flat roofs and rooftop equipment. The proposed architectural design does not conceal rooftop mechanical units, nor provides a variation in roof lines to reduce the massive scale of the structure. Also identified is an outdoor speaker on the front or the north elevation, which is not permitted per Section 14302 and Section 16.031 amplified sound. Sign. Although a wall sign is shown on the elevation plan, no dimensions or details are provided and therefore cannot be considered at this time. It is further stated on sheet T1 of the submitted site plan that proposed signage shall be a monument sign along SECOR Road, which shall meet the Bedford Township sign ordinance requirements and shall be submitted separately. Section 419-2, the sign ordinance states freestanding signs should not be placed closer than 100 feet to the parcel line. Planning Commission may consider a waiver on the sign placement from the north and south property lines, as the BZA granted a waiver to permit 66 feet to serve as frontage on SECOR Road. It should also be noted that the proposed monument sign location is outside of the corner clearance area and will not pose a visual clearance issue. The Planning Commission may, this is part of the ordinance, the Planning Commission may waive the requirements of Section 400-1922, but only where exceptional conditions or circumstances exist, which were not contemplated at the time Section 400-1922 was enacted, or which are so unusual that they are not adequately regulated by the section, but only if the waiver may be granted without impairing the intent and purpose of Section 400-1922, and without substantial detriment to the public health and safety and welfare. Sanitary sewer and municipal water are both available to the site. Sidewalks. As stated in Section 400-1303, the proposed general business development project may include sidewalks and/or bike paths connections to existing and future developments. While sidewalks have already been installed through the DDA along SECOR Road, the Planning Commission may want to discuss if the developer has considered installing a sidewalk from the developed portion of the site to the existing SECOR Road sidewalk for pedestrian traffic. The reviewing agencies. Letters of approval have been received from the Mannequin Smith Group with comments and conditions on September 24, 2019. The Bedford Township Fire Department with comments and conditions on September 23, 2019. The Monroe County Road Commission with comments and concerns or conditions on September 3, 2019. And the Monroe County Drain Commission with comments and conditions on September 19, 2019. Special approval requirements and conditions. As you are aware, you reviewed the proposed outdoor display for sales in C3 zoning ordinance for recommendation to the Township Board, and the Township Board adopted the ordinance on August 20th, 2019, with the effective date of September 12, 2019. The above portion of the site analysis provides the factual details of the submitted site plan, and the following will apply the existing and newly adopted ordinances as they apply to the site plan that has been submitted in those areas that require special approval. A copy of the ordinance has been provided for your convenience, and you may want to familiarize yourself with this new ordinance, as reference will be made to specific sections within the ordinance. However, remaining sections that are not being referenced will provide further details. The above-mentioned ordinance allows for an outdoor display area for sales as permitted use in a C3 zoning district. However, outdoor display area is limited to 400 square feet, or an area when calculated does not exceed 400 square feet. Any larger than 400 square feet shall require a granted special approval by the Planning Commission. A propane filling station, 1,000-gallon tank is proposed within the 15,000 square foot outdoor display area and is permitted subject to special approval per Section 1302. In addition, per Section 41302, all propane tank filling stations shall be shielded from front and parking areas by an opaque wall made with materials and at a height and width and subject to a color or color scheme coordinated with the main building on the site. As previously stated, currently 4-foot bollards are proposed around the tank. The front elevation shows a proposed outdoor speaker, which is not permitted, Section 41302. The proposed monument sign location does not comply with the 100-foot setback from each side parcel line, as the BZA variance approved parcel frontage consists of a total of 66 feet. When considering a sign waiver, the Planning Commission shall take into consideration exceptional conditions or circumstances instated in Section 419.22. The flat roof structure does not meet a portion of the requirements of Section 41303, Site Development Standards for C3 General Business Districts, which states wherever possible, and this is redundant, but it's the special approval portion. Wherever possible, variations in roof lines are encouraged to reduce the massive scale of the structure and to add visual interest. Roofs shall have features which conceal flat roofs and rooftop equipment. An 8-foot tall chain link fence is proposed around the 15,000 square foot outdoor sales display area, where 8 feet tall fences are limited to industrially zoned districts and 6-foot tall fences in commercially zoned districts as regulated by the fence ordinance. As well, the proposed fence does not include a buffering barrier along the south and east sides of the site, which is adjacent to residential zoning districts. As permitted by ordinance, the Planning Commission may require additional or increased screening than what is required by Section 14907, which requires a wall that can be varied with Planning Commission approval. Should the Planning Commission want to consider the allowance of an 8-foot chain link fence, as it may be appropriate for the proposed use, a chain link fence does not serve as any buffer or screening of noise and visibility of the outside display area from the neighboring properties to the south and east. It should be verified if shelving or stacking is proposed that would elevate materials for sales or display, and which would increase visibility of the sales display items within the fence, and where fencing inserts may want to be considered. The same non-screening issue would exist if the fence is reduced to a height of 6 feet. It should be noted a decorative 6-foot wood fence is proposed along the southeast corner of the rear parking area that includes the dumpster and unloading and loading area, which are not independently screened, and plantings are proposed between the fence and the property line to soften the C3 use from the neighboring properties. The Planning Commission may want to consider an extension of the decorative fence and landscaping farther west along the south property line to buffer the loading-unloading area from the neighboring properties, and extending the fence east to the 20-foot rear setback line, and then make a 90-degree turn to the north and running the fence and landscaping north to the north property line to provide a 6-foot screening and buffering between the subject site and the residentially zoned properties to the east. The lack of opaque screening between the subject site and the properties to the east allows for off-site headlight pollution, as vehicles entering the establishment from the west will cast headlight pollution directly onto the site to the east, and provides no visual or noise barrier between the commercial and the residential zoning districts. As indicated on sheet L1, there are existing dense scattered trees to remain for screening. It should be noted the subject site contains a portion of the trees remaining for screening, while a large portion is located on the parcel to the east, which shall not be considered as buffering for the subject site. As well, the Planning Commission should take into consideration whether or not the existing trees will remain dense enough throughout the entire year to provide screening of off-site headlight pollution and act as a visual and sound barrier. In summary, the Planning Commission shall make a decision on whether or not to grant special approval on the following, and if so determined, shall include the ordinance requirements for the approval as included below, and may want to consider the noted additional screening to buffer the neighboring residential properties from the commercial use. Number one, the proposed 19.937 square feet of outdoor display area, which is determined, if determined, allowed, includes the 15,000 square feet fenced display area to the east of the structure, the 2,537 square feet of sidewalk display area to the north of the structure, and the 2,400 square feet of trailer equipment display area to the east of the parking lot. Two, the 1,000-gallon propane filling station subject to A, shielding from the front and parking areas by an opaque wall made with materials and at a height and width and subject to color and color scheme coordinated with the main building on the site. B, compliance with all applicable building, fire, state, and local codes. C, no more than one bulk storage on site with a capacity not to exceed 2,000 gallons. And D, parking of delivery trucks overnight and storage of any delivery truck on site is prohibited. 3, there shall be no broadcasting outdoor intercoms or outdoor amplified sound or music allowed. 4, once verified and as determined by the Planning Commission, the loading unloading area will adequately serve the needs for the total square footage of the facility, as the loading unloading area is calculated by usable floor area and does not include outdoor display sales areas in the zoning ordinance, or the loading unloading area shall be increased to serve the indoor and outdoor needs as calculated by the total usable area and outdoor display sales square footage on site. 5, once verified, all lighting shall be directed downward to avoid off-site glare. 6, allow a sign waiver to permit the monument sign to be placed as identified on the site plan, as the allowance of lesser than 100-foot setback from each side property line is an exceptional condition or circumstance that was not contemplated at the time the sign ordinance was enacted, and the sign placement will not impair the intent and purpose of the section and is without substantial detriment to the public health, safety, and welfare. 7, features shall be added to conceal the flat roof and rooftop equipment. 8, depending on the Planning Commission's determination, a waiver will be required to allow an 8-foot chain link fence, and fencing inserts may want to be considered. 9, if determined, the proposed 6-foot tall decorative wood fence with landscaping materials should be extended west to buffer the loading unloading area and shall be extended north to the north property line along the east setback line to provide a noise and visual barrier between the commercial and residential zoning districts to the east, as well as provide a barrier to prevent off-site headlight pollution and flying debris. Optional, provide a sidewalk from the developed portion of the site to existing SECOR road sidewalk for pedestrian traffic, and you may also want to include in any approval as regulated by ordinance, the outdoor display area for sales should only relate to and be part of the business of the principal use permitted in the main C3 building on site. No unrelated use shall be permitted for the outdoor display area for sales, and there shall be no standalone outdoor display area for sales, including no tents. A final site plan approval shall be conditioned upon the bullet points listed above and addressing all conditions and contingencies of MSG, BTFD, MCRC, MCDC review letters, amending the site plan to comply with all required changes for the special approval.
Thank you, Karen. Do you need a glass of water?
I brought it.
Right. At this time, I will open up the podium for anyone that would like to speak. We will try to limit each person to 5 minutes of speaking time. If you'd like to speak, please come to the podium. And just state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Carol Laurie. My address is 1617 Royal Troon Court, Temperance, Michigan. Good evening, and I just want to say I am opposed to a propane filling station so close to a residential area. We already have 2 propane filling stations on SECOR Road within 2 miles of this site, and I just don't think it's appropriate being that close to a residential area. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is David Shutt, 3245 Ravine Hollow Court in Lambertville. My concern is the manner in which this property or this development is being put back as a sort of an island. And I'm not really, since I'm not familiar with the zoning laws or the way things have been done in this township, I'm wondering if that, putting something at the end of a long causeway, as it were, and then you put a store back into a property that has no real frontage on either of the main roads. That would be a concern. I'm not convinced that that's the best way to locate property. I expect that the developer probably has a piece of property, and this is the best thing he can think of to put in there, but it doesn't sound like very good property management to me. And the other thing, I'll second what the lady said about the propane filling station. 1,000 gallons of propane could cause a lot of damage if it went up in a heck of an explosion, and you have to assume that there are going to be trucks that have to deliver this propane and transfer and so forth. So those are my concerns. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in the public hearing?
My name is Tom Hockinger. I live at 3273 Ravine Hollow Court in Lambertville. And I have the same concern that's been expressed about the propane tank. I don't know how much of a blast that thing could generate, but I suspect it's substantial. And it looks, from a little bit of viewing of the drawings I was able to do, that housing is in very close to that tank. And it just does not seem reasonable to be placed there. As far as usage goes or need goes, like the lady before me mentioned, there are 2 propane filling stations readily accessible by anybody in the area. That's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Slaviero, and my address is 3263 Ravine Hollow Court. And I do apologize, I was a few minutes late. So I don't know that I understand the purpose of this hearing, but if you would like to know how the residents feel, that's why I'm here. I am certainly opposed to having any kind of propane whatever so close to a residential area, for all of the reasons that had been voiced, especially for safety purposes. I mean, I'm not aware, but I can only imagine what harm could be done if something went awry, along with the wear and tear of the trucks that would be coming and going. My vote is absolutely not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Greg Wakefield, 3224 Ravine Hollow Court, Lambertville. Kind of a touche here. I had made some notes prior to this meeting, and I'm just supporting what other people are saying. Are the safety services trained and equipped for, and I heard 1,000-gallon propane, and then during the reading I heard something about 2,000-gallon. But my concern is the explosion. What's the maximum cause and effect of that? What's the perimeter damage under a worst case scenario? Trucks servicing this facility. Have we studied the types and weights of vehicles that are going to be coming and going post-construction? And will our infrastructure tolerate that? You know, we've seen a lot of beautification, and we would certainly not like to see that go. I'm fairly new to Bedford. I don't know if there's similar operations like this, the propane thing in Bedford. I heard in the reading that the fire department has signed off in the structure, but I don't know if they've signed off on this propane. So kind of supporting what others are saying as a resident. I don't see the necessity of it. You know, it's kind of supply and demand, and there's plenty of places to get propane within a 2-mile radius. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Kathy Nordgren, 3386 Quail Hollow Drive. Just to, I'm going to agree with everything everybody else has said, but the traffic in the area is already horrendous. To have propane and sales in this area, we have difficulty times getting out of our subdivisions most of the time at high peaks of the day. So adding more traffic into this area would just be devastating.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is George Banks, live at 3398 Quail Hollow. I oppose a propane being put in the area. It's a residential area. We already have propane stations on SECOR. And right near there is a 55 and over development, plus the street where it's residential. So I oppose, and with the traffic that it creates and the danger that it could create. So I oppose. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on the public hearing?
Hello, everyone. I'm Antoinette Banks, and I live at 3398 Quail Hollow. I've lived in Bedford for over 20 years, and I absolutely love the area. I love my neighborhood, and from what I understand, this would be placed right at the corner of my neighborhood. I can only imagine if I were looking for a home in Bedford now, and I looked at Quail Hollow, and that was there, I definitely would not look there. So I'm concerned about individuals who may want to sell their home, what our property will be worth, and we need to really keep the area just such a lovely area. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi, my name is Bob Kubitz. I live at 3142 Mindy Lane in Lambertville. This proposed site would be in my backyard. I don't want a 1,000-gallon propane tank in my backyard. I know it's going to be probably fenced off, blocked off, but still, it's very close to my property, which is all residential. There are condos back there, and most of us are old enough to know that propane could have a devastating effect on us. So I'm totally against this. I understand that they want to run a business, but do they need the propane there? Do they need a big tank like that there? Like I said, this is going to be in my backyard, which is now all trees and I'm sure they're going to come down. And I don't know if a fence is going to go up along there or not, but I don't want to see this looking out my back window. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hello, my name is Barry Martin, 3275 Fox Run Lane, Lambertville. I just want to mention that I agree that with what's been said here this evening, and I encourage the Planning Commission to think about future development in this area. If this facility is placed in that location, I know there's a lot of empty space, Mr. Shepherd's area right across the street there off on SECOR that's open for development, and other areas that, what kind of business is going to be attracted to the area if that type of facility is located so close? Right now we have restaurants and commercial buildings that are for sales, Kroger's and so forth. And I'm not sure that we would be attracting that type of commercial development if this type of facility was located so close to those areas. And I don't think it would benefit the future development of the Lambertville SECOR Stearns corridor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Merrill Bodine, and I live at 3333 Quail Hollow. And I'm afraid this committee has got some deaf ears from the public saying what they're saying. We don't need this kind of thing in our area with the traffic that we already have. And if trucks are coming in to fill this, or motor homes or whatever, when you have the capacity of up Mazaret's to fill propane tanks down the road a little bit, out in Ottawa Lake, it seems, how many filling stations do you really need for propane? And that's all I have to say. But I hope what they have said don't fall on deaf ears.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing that we have none, I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
Could you take the roll, Mr. Stefan?
Ms. Tinberry,
Yes.
Mr. Zybeck,
Yes.
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes.
Mr. Garbrick,
Yes.
Stefan votes yes. Mr. Fritz,
Yes.
Chairman Anger.
Yes. Public hearing is closed. Now we will discuss and comment. Did we have a representative for Tractor Supply?
Good evening. My name is Frank Jarbo. I'm from Symmetry Management. We've been recruited by Tractor Supply to develop a site for them in the wonderful city of Lambert. We've been looking at the site for quite a while, and we actually got together with a local developer partner, so to speak, on this site, and try to make things happen for Tractor Supply. Tractor Supply is a national firm that has about 1,800 stores nationwide in 49 states. If you look at their MO, they are very, very committed to each individual city that they reside in. We've done a lot of work for them in the past, and they seem to partner up with the community very, very well. A lot of community stuff that they throw on. They love to hire very local, very hands-on, very good operators, I would say. I've done national work for other national firms, and I can't speak highly enough of Tractor Supply. We've gone down to their national conferences, and the stuff that they come out and see, and wanting to know the residents, what do you see in our plan that you don't like, and they really tell us that you got to work with the community, understand what they're looking for, what they don't like, and let's explain it to them. Let's try to work it out and see what we can do. I'd like, if you don't mind, to dive into probably the most important thing in the room is everybody's talking about these propane tanks. So in theory, when you look at it, it's a 1,000-gallon propane tank. In residential homes, they're 500-gallon propane tanks. So they're not much bigger in diameter, but they have a little bit more capacity. And what I also did is I also brought in some pictures of a site we just got done doing. I'd like to pass around one each to the Planning Commission, and then maybe one each to the residents to take a look, if you don't mind. So as you'll see in that, the pictures there, I mean, they take a very, very hard press with safety. Safety is their number one concern. Any employee that's using it is very well trained. The bollards that they use, they are tested. The tanks that they use are tested over and over again to make sure they meet capacity. These tanks aren't just easily damaged. If you run into a car into them, they're not easily just going to explode. Very rarely do you see that. I mean, if you Google how many times the Tractor Supply has caught on fire by a propane tank, I've never even heard of one. I'm not saying there isn't any, but I've never even heard of one or even seen anything like that happen. They're very thick wall tanks, again, tested over and over again. The way that they're placed inside the outdoor display area with the bollards there, they do have a little canopy over where the fill station is, only to protect somebody coming in wanting to get something filled or getting refilled the tanks. So we've done this over and over again. There's fire alarms on them. There's plenty of safety procedures that are put in place. And if the fire department, your own fire department, has looked at this before, I think that you'd be inclined to rely on their expertise to say if they are fine with it, then it should serve as being okay for the community. I don't think they would approve anything that wasn't something a detriment to the community whatsoever. I would love to answer any questions or any concerns.
Thank you. Joe?
I guess, I want to reiterate on the point you said that most residential is 500 gallons, and I grew up in Whiteford and Conster, and every house had a propane tank. I live on Conster Road in Bedford, and I have a 1,000-gallon at my house with no walls or no barriers, no fire alarms. I mean, I think they're proven throughout the United States, and this is above and beyond, that any house would have to have. Like I said, I have 1,000 at my house.
Yeah. And that's the point that, we conveying over to the public is, most houses do have 500-gallon tanks, and the residentials aren't tested. They're not scrutinized. They're not coming by. The fire department's not coming by to check to see if they've gotten their annual test or any of that other stuff, where we at Tractor Supply Store are doing that. Thank you.
Nancy?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the residents and the public for coming. It's always important when we have a public hearing, I think, to hear the views of the public, and we do listen. Someone said they hope we're listening. We do listen, so I appreciate you coming. To Mr., sorry, I wrote your name down.
Jarbo.
Excuse me, I see it here.
That's right.
You're the one, is your company the one that?
We're
put together
developing the site, yes.
plan?
We own and develop it,
Okay.
yes.
Did you get a copy of the ordinance before you put together this site plan?
We work through the ordinance through the engineers, yes.
You worked
Yep,
the
yep.
ordinance. Okay, then my question to you, and I don't know what the rest of the board feels like, but would you be interested in taking it back and starting over? Because I count 11 areas in our ordinance that we just put together, basically for your company to allow outside storage, 11 areas where we would have to either vary or give special approval to our newly created ordinance. The other thing is, it took her 20 minutes, that's unheard of, to read just the outline of the whole proposal. 20 minutes just to go over the background. I mean, That's my question. Or would you be interested in going back and revising some of the things that we're going to have to discuss, or do you want to go through it tonight and spend a lot of time?
The bullet points that we talked about, Ms. Karen over here, is that the bullet points that you're speaking of?
Yeah, well, those are minimal. There's
Yeah,
11
definitely.
things,
Those are,
11 things.
some of the stuff that's in this, I can tell you right away, we're gonna screen any rooftop units.
Then why didn't you put it in the ordinance? I mean, in the, the proposal.
Why didn't we put in the proposal?
Yeah, why are we having to go over and
I don't know,
discuss it
maybe
tonight?
we just missed that. I mean, that could have been something that we missed on our end. I do apologize for that.
Okay, well, there's 11, that's only one of 11.
Mhm.
Our job as the planning commission is to uphold the ordinances and to only vary them or give special approval in unusual circumstances. And 11 times, if you had the ordinance and you went through it and you put together the site plan based on what you felt the ordinance was allowing, and you put 11 things in here that didn't go along with the ordinance, to me, says that we need to scrutinize it even further. That's our job, to uphold the ordinance and the master plan. I have nothing against Tractor Supply. I like Tractor Supply, very good store. I see them all over. I don't see them in this type of a neighborhood, though, but for the public's purpose, if someone owns a piece of land and they want to put a Tractor Supply there and it meets the ordinance, we have nothing to say about it. I'm all for economic development, and I'm interested in things coming to Bedford that support Bedford ordinance, but I can't allow for 11 things that don't comply with our ordinance.
I agree with you totally. The thing is with the Tractor Supply, they are a robust store. They ask for a lot of different things on a lot of different scales. So they're not the traditional retail store, 4 walls, and you're coming in and all the retail's on the inside. So they're as you can see, they hit on many different points of what they sell and what they do and what the services they provide. So when you're going across that many different points, you're going to affect 11 different ordinances. And that's why I'm here, to help work those ordinances out with you, obviously. So that's the best way I can explain it. We've done this time and time again, and I've never seen their store fit in any type of ordinance that's out there. It's never happened. So, and if you go back and if you've seen one, as you said, you've visited one, and the many different sales products they have and how they display them and how they sell them, it's all a part of their model. So, of course, we're going to disrupt a lot of ordinances.
Okay, all right, well then I'll start with my first question and let the rest of the board have opportunity, and then I'm sure I'll be coming back. 19,000 square foot area of your structure, correct?
Of the building itself,
Of the
yes.
building.
Yes.
And you're asking for more than that for your outside storage, 19,937. I mean, really, do it, I know no other company that puts more equipment and product outside where these people who live around you have to look out their back window and see it. Do you really need 19,937 square feet outside?
I would say because of their model and the sales model that they have and the proven success that they've had, yes, they do need that. Unfortunately,
You're not willing to make a change there?
I mean, this is how Tractor Supply wants to have their store laid out. This is a success they've seen over 1,800 stores in 49 states. And we've tried to do the best we can about screening and where we've placed the store. Putting the store not front and center on the road, but putting it back where in the future there could be some developments that go in front of us. We're fine with that, with the developments that can go in the front. So with that screening of those developments, with the screening of using the trees to the east, is it over there? East, and then to the south as well. So that's why we've actually placed this. I mean, we could have asked it to be right up front and center, but we knew that, and also where the position of the building is placed. If we could have flipped the outdoor display to be on the west side, but we wanted to put it on the east side to give it some to shield it a little bit as well.
putting it back puts it closer to the residents. All right, I'll go to somebody else.
Joe?
Yeah, I don't think there's a better place around to put it than that. And every Tractor Supply, if you want to look at one, Nancy, go on Central Avenue.
I've seen them all.
And I
They're
don't
not
think it's
kind
out of proportion, in my opinion, with it. And the screening that they're doing, I think it's, they went out of the way to try to make this work. And I see you're loving things, but on something this big, I don't think there's anything that's crazy we're asking, or they're asking for this board that's, and, you know, that's my opinion. I think they did a great job.
Tom? Please don't address the public hearing is closed. You can have a comment at the end of the meeting. Tom?
Nancy brought up a point that got me to thinking. I can think offhand 3 locations of Tractor Supplies. I would say in the last 60 days, I've been to all 3 of them. M50, Dundee, major highway. Telegraph Road, Monroe, Michigan, major highway. Central Avenue, Springfield Township or Holland, 5-lane US 20 road. That doesn't sound anything like this corner. And I didn't come prepared with that tonight, but Nancy brought that to my attention and got me to thinking. That's all I have for now.
Thanks, Tom.
Sure. I do like the idea of commercial development, particularly in a district that the master plan falls under. First, to speak with or to the public commenters out there, would you be willing, you know, to? I'm somewhat familiar with the safety world, and one of the issues that do come up are fulfilling or making sure they follow, you know, NFPA regulations, particularly 58, which deals with, you know, propane storage, delivery, so on and so forth. Would that be a problem to include that in, you know, any site plan to make sure it conforms with that
I think it would.
industry regulation?
I'm sorry? It would not be a problem? I think it includes that anyways. That's why I was, I mean, that's.
Well, I just want to make sure it's conveyed.
Yeah, I'm
It
pretty
wasn't
sure.
in any of our fire department's letter or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that,
Absolutely, yeah.
you know, the public is aware that this setup, you know, conforms with industry standard, that it's, you know, not going to pose a hazard per se in any way, shape, or form.
We're completely fine with that. Whatever, the more safety we can do, the better it is.
Okay. And then understand too, continuing on, you know, I do favor commercial development, but this is a heavy lift when it comes to,
Yeah.
you know, variances. And I guess my question is, open it up. I mean, going item by item, I'm sure we're going to hit on all the points here. Do we have a plan to attempt to try to conform with some of the ordinance in here?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay. Can we start with the chain link fence around the outdoor storage area? Is there anything more aesthetically appealing that we've seen on other Tractor Supply stores opposed to a 8-foot regular chain link fence?
So part of their philosophy is that they also, you know, somebody that's in the parking lot could see the type of sales that they could have in the outdoor display. If there's some recommendations, I could take that back to them. Let me know what you're thinking, and then maybe we can work something out there.
So do you have the authority, I guess, to make some of those
No,
decisions here today
unfortunately,
as
I
far
don't.
as what type of fencing, what type of screening?
You know, it's very limited on the screening. So one of the things that you did talk about in here and talking about the propane tank is screening the propane tank, which we don't have a problem with that whatsoever. So the recommendation that Ms. Karen gave us in here, we're fine to do that.
Which I think is in the proposal
Yeah.
already. I mean,
Yep.
it's going to be inside that
Absolutely.
that sales area.
Yeah. And it's confined in an area where it's not butted up to the fence. It's got products in front of it on the side of it, so that way nobody can just come over there and knock it over or whatever it is, but besides the bollards that are there, and you can't, I mean, physically see that much of it, but we're fine to put up some type of, what was called out in the packet.
Okay, and not take too much time from my other board members, but, you know, 3, for example, you know, broadcasting outdoor amplified sound, is that
Yeah,
something that we can cross off here right now, or?
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, Tractor Supply is an old school type of company. They love the intercom system. I mean, this day and age, who uses an intercom? Especially at a store that's newly built this way. So we can get them to use the headsets like everybody else does. And it doesn't, just so you know, it doesn't play any music or any of that. So we can get them to go to the headsets, definitely.
And then how about the loading areas?
So the loading areas, all we need is just that one. We just need the one, the dock. I mean, we don't have that many trucks coming through where we would need multiple loading areas.
So you're saying the outdoor sales with all the implements and so on and so
Yes.
forth that's out there is not going to have the same requirements or turnover as you would on the inside? Is that
Yeah,
your justification, only
absolutely.
having one
Yeah.
loading
Mhm.
dock? How about the lighting being directed downward to avoid glare? Would
Yeah.
that be a problem to
No.
include any
It's the
potential
way
proposal?
it's the way it's in the plan. It's the way it's designed in the plan.
Is it specified anywhere in the plan? I think that was the issue on the
Yeah,
review.
the question, as I understand it from the report was, I'm sorry, Jim Jacobs with Jacobs Architects, was that there's an or equal piece in there, and I think the clarification was that the or equal would match that, but the design is for down, so that would be part of an or equal.
And you did mention there would be no problem with some kind of curtain wall, parapet wall to hide the mechanicals on the
Yeah.
the roof line.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Do you have any specifics on that?
It would probably be a detailed what we normally use, which would probably be something to match the building, an aluminum, call it a skirt, we like to call it in the construction world, so to speak.
I guess that's kind of the frustration, I think, with I speak for myself anyway, is we have a lot of these details here that could have, and just echo Nancy, it could have been, I guess, abated on the front side with a site plan. I don't know if it was a time issue or whatnot.
It could have been multiple things. And again, you know, going back to, you know, what I was communicating to Nancy was that, you know, the store is so robust and hits on multiple different points. So some of the stuff, you know, we can definitely work through as we have been, so.
Except the fence and the type of material and.
I mean, that's something that if you want it administratively, we could try to work out. I would leave it to that so that we could, you know, propose something, or you could propose something that we could take it back to Tractor Supply and have them administratively approve it.
All right, I'll defer for the time being.
I would like to say something about the fencing. I think there needs to be more than just a wooden fence, about 6-foot privacy fence that you can buy at Home Depot and put up, because that's what it looks like in the detail, especially for the close neighbors directly south. I would like to see something closer to kind of like what we do with Taco Bell, like the decorative vinyl fencing or the stone veneer, just something to block the immediate neighbors and extend that all the way east to the front of the building. I'm sorry, north to the front of the building, like it said in one of the proposals that Karen as an option. It's not necessarily the same fence that you would have in the front of the building. But I did drive by the Tractor Supply in Dundee, and they have a wrought iron fence with big stone columns that separate it, and it looks much nicer than just a chain link fence. I know it's significantly more expensive, but we're trying to uphold our community to be nice, and I think Dundee it's even less of a community than ours. It's more of a country community, I would say, than what we have. So I think we should try to do better than them if we can.
I mean, it's to the south, but I think we can work something out by having something more decorative back there so that the residents can have something better to look at. I agree with that. To the east is a complete line of trees. And from what that's exactly where the pond will be. So it'll be several, it's a protective wetland, so, on that side. So if we could, we could limit it to maybe the south, and then we could work through coming north on the east, on the side, leaving that the way it is, and maybe doing something a little more decorative in the front.
And if there's any thinned areas of trees, add more trees, because
Yeah.
I'm in favor of lots of trees. That's,
The one thing that we didn't get on was the 6-foot fence. I mean, they're going to require an 8-foot fence, only for the safety of other people and the safety of the stuff that they will have out there. I mean, a lot of people are 6 foot tall and be able to reach over and hand stuff over. So that's something that we
and
would.
for me personally, if it was, as long as it wasn't a chain link fence and it was more of the decorative nature, 8 foot to 6 foot, that doesn't matter as much to me as long as it was aesthetically pleasing.
Again, we can propose something. You guys can propose something. We can try to work it out administratively. We have no problem working with that.
On that topic, one possibility I would toss out that could be taken back for verification, if that's what the approval direction would be, is that perhaps if we did something similar to what Dundee has on the parking lot side or the north side, and then we're able to do the chain link on the more utility side, the back and along the ditch side of it, that gets the public-facing side with the decorative fence, and then brings in a little more of economy on how it gets enclosed for the other two sides. That may be a suggestion if that's something that could be considered. And then along with the wood fencing, there is also landscaping that's proposed with that, so it's a combination of the wood fence plus the landscaping adjacent to it. So it's not just a stockade fence that's going to go along there. There's a mix of that landscaping to help break that mass up as well.
Joe?
Yes.
You guys got a certain size tree that you're planning to put in, start out like a 6-foot Colorado blue or something that it's gonna screen it all year round, a pine or something?
Yeah, there's a chart that has the minimum size requirements in the packet on the landscape page. I'll get you that answer here
I
momentarily.
like the trees because they can grow and the fence don't grow. And plant them every 15 foot and you'll never walk through it.
So on that edge, because of the closeness to the property line and the amount of landscape area that we have to do this, we're proposing 5-foot arborvitaes
Okay, so they'll
adjacent with
straight
it.
up.
Yeah, so they'll grow tall and straight.
How tall do arborvitaes grow?
Oh, I've seen some of them, 20, 30 feet tall, depending on how, if you lop them off at a certain height to stop that growth. But generally speaking, they continue to grow.
And if they go bad, you guys fix them, they put them in?
That's the ordinance requirement to maintain the site plan as approved.
3 of them die, you guys put new ones in?
Yeah. As part of the contract, it'll be a year-long maintenance of that, and then after that, the owner would then take over that maintenance to maintain the plan as approved.
Dennis.
Oh, Dennis.
I was looking at this area to the south, and there's not a lot of room to plant anything there, is there? Just so you know, I didn't vote in favor of this rezoning from the get-go because of this kind of situation. And I didn't vote for the ordinance amendment for the same reason. I've driven probably in a 50-mile radius to every Tractor Supply around here. And the thing that struck me the most was very few of them were built in a residential, in an area close to residential structures. And so that's why I was kind of puzzled about why this location was so important. The chain link fence, you passed the pictures of the propane tank, filling tank around. And I wasn't so concerned about the propane tanks as I was about the junk all around, that products all around them. That's even more of an eyesore than the tank. So anything around that storage area for me would have to be totally opaque, like a wall, masonry wall. The people in the condos to the south are gonna see everything that's in that lot, so. It's just my opinion, but, I couldn't accept the site plan the way it was presented.
Nancy?
Well, first I'd like to ask Tom, what was the hardship that the BZA granted the variance for the frontage
For the frontage,
to 64 feet? I mean, that doesn't make sense to me.
they were
They give
under
it
the
34.
impression that as those lots were plotted out for Splash, Burger King, Rite Aid, they maintained a specific width, which only left 64 feet. What's the normal width of those? Like Splash, Rite Aid, Burger King, what would those normally be, Karen?
A minimum of 100 feet. At the 66 feet, a 34-foot variance was granted. The 66 feet was created as as Tom identified, those other parcels were split off from the parent parcel. They maintained the 66 feet for the minimum, that would actually be a minimum road width.
That's right.
I get that, but, I mean, the other parcels had nothing to do with
No.
the variance for this
But
parcel.
66
Something's-
feet was
I know.
maintained for a minimum road width.
I'm telling you, something doesn't smell right with this whole thing. So did you say you were willing to give up the propane?
The propane we cannot give up. That's part of the business.
So you can't vary anything. You expect us to let you do anything you want and not change anything from your perspective. You won't downsize the outdoor storage. You won't give up the propane. Oh, you gave up the speaker, excuse me. You won't give up the 6-foot fence. So everything has to go your way, is that it?
No, ma'am, I think we've given up a few things that you have asked for. Also, I think that in the C3 zoning, we are allowed the 1,000 square foot tank.
Thank you.
Joe?
I guess the fire department's okayed this propane?
The fire department will further review as building or construction plans come in. They have reviewed the placement of the propane.
And they don't have a problem with it?
The distance is as is required,
Okay.
the distance from the structure. We did
So it's
some- we did
required
some
where they got it
research.
set and the distance is.
We did some research on this ourselves. We went to a local gas distributor, and we looked up specifically, because the questions were coming in on placement regulations. Our ordinance states, well, let's read what this is. It says, various rules and regulations dictate where tanks of various sizes can be placed. Tanks under 125, tanks are only filled, they are not filled completely. So you have a 1,000-gallon tank, it's only filled with 800 gallons. This is all in here. It states that under 125 gallons, for example, must be located at least 5 feet from a crawl space. Crawl space opening and 10 feet from a window air conditioner. Tanks greater than 500 gallons, on the other hand, must be placed a minimum of 25 feet from a building. So all tanks greater than 500 gallons have to be placed a minimum of 25 feet from a building. Proposed on this site plan is 42 feet, I believe. 42 feet, I think, from the structure.
Okay, so according to that, they meet the criteria and what it is.
For that, yes.
Okay. I don't know why we'd be trying to change
I
something.
don't know if it meets all codes, but I do know that the setback is met.
Okay, thank you.
Tom, did you?
Couple things. Somewhere in the beginning of you speaking to us, you said they're a very robust company, aggressive. They've got all different kinds of styles of things they do for their stores, 1,400 of them or however many. But I'm getting the feeling that I think Nancy is too, that when you came in and looked at our ordinances, you just stuck with your plan. And now when you come in here, you're going to be the fall guy that has to go back and ask to have things changed. Like Nancy said, we're spinning our wheels, wasting time on things that should have been taken care of before this meeting ever was held. That's my feeling.
I agree with you, Tom. At the very end of the day, the few things that we are talking about, I thought that this was planning, was the discussion we were supposed to have and try to work these things out. So that's why we're here, to try to work them out.
I understand.
Yeah.
But I think Nancy made mention that we're here to uphold the ordinances, not negotiate them.
Understood.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Mike Bassinger. I'm with LAMBERTVILLE. The new ordinance, the way that it was written, the way I understood it is, it gives the planning commission flexibility to make decisions that we're talking about on this project here versus variances. You mentioned variances, and you mentioned we had a list of 11, but we're not asking for any variances here.
I'm not talking about BZA variances, I'm talking about differences from what the ordinance says and what is requested.
So the way the ordinance is written, I guess the way I understand it is you're allowed 400 square feet of outside storage space. Anything over and above that is a special approval by the planning commission.
Yeah, 37 times. What you're asking for is 37 times the 400. 400 is what is allowed, and Tractor Supply is asking for 37 times that, not twice that, not 4 times that, 37 times what the ordinance allows. Don't you think that's a little excessive?
What do you think? In my mind, a store this size, 400 square feet is nothing. I mean, we have gas stations and things around town that have more than that sitting out in front. I heard the word variance, and we're not here for a variance.
No,
We're
I
here
understand
for
that.
special approval. The propane tank is really state permitted, and that's a special approval by you guys. And the outside storage is a special approval by you guys. And really, the 11, if you add up all the storage, there's 3 separate storage or outside sales areas.
Sure.
Yes.
Just kind of add on to that a little bit too. I mean, if we look at a big perspective, this is the type of business that this company is in, primarily focused on outdoor sales. And we do have other retail establishments in our community that are focused on outdoor type sales. So I don't necessarily just want to shy away just because, they do have outdoor sales and they do require the nature of their business, a larger footprint on outdoor. But I guess my main focus, and I want to make sure we nail down, and if there is a motion made today, there is going to be several, contingent items that need to be addressed. And, primarily focus on the aesthetics and the neighbors around and making sure that the store is going to be a good member of the community. And, that's my main focus, I think, here today, if a motion is made and we do vote on it, to make sure we nail down that Tractor Supply coming into our community is going to be a good neighbor and be a value added to our community.
And we're willing to do that and work through that. And just to get back to the nature of the amount of outdoor display that we have is because of the products that we do sell. Not all that stuff necessarily fits inside of a store. Yeah, you could fit it through a door, a double door. It's just easier sometimes to pull up your trailer, put it in the back of your trailer and move on with your business. Some stuff is a little taller, a little longer, a little shorter, a little wider, and that's part of the nature of it. So if we were to, encompass all this in a store, then you'd be looking at a 60,000 square foot box. The stuff they do sell out there, it's hands-on type of stuff. So again, pulling up your trailer, putting it in the back, doing that type of stuff, that's the nature of the business.
Again, I'm not opposed to Tractor Supply. We too have been, gone to Tractor Supply, purchased things. It's not opposed to Tractor Supply at all. It's just opposed to the what's presented here based on our ordinance. It just doesn't seem to fit. But with regard to your comment, I don't see how we can move on it without seeing the final design. We can say things and put it into a motion, but we are not guaranteed to get back exactly what words can be interpreted differently. And I would suggest that if we're going to move forward with this, that we give a list of things that we would like to see them come back with, instead of any kind of approval before we see it, the final.
So getting back to the comment that we made, you choosing the, what store was that? The Dundee store, having something of the fencing look something adequate like that, but not necessarily what works for Dundee doesn't necessarily work for Lambertville. So that's why we ask if we do that administratively, where we can do it as a collective and try to work that out. We have no problem trying to work something like that out.
But when you say administratively, you mean just working with our planning department?
Yes. We've done that in the past
Doesn't work.
plenty of times, and it's worked out. It's worked out pretty well.
In Bedford?
No,
Oh,
other communities. Sorry.
We're a general law township. We're not a charter township. So, and we're not a city like Dundee or a village. It's a little different. Not that we don't trust our girls in the planning department, but I would not be willing to approve something without having the final thing before us. And maybe Marty can speak to that. Would you recommend that we just give them a list and approve it?
If you were to approve something, you should itemize the changes or the conditions, and so they can be identified and checked off, so to speak, by the planning department. When you approve other things, there are conditions, like the engineers, they have conditions in their letter, and you approve things subject to those conditions. Well, they get checked off by the planning department when the revised plans come in. So that's how it would be handled.
Exactly, but those are definitive and.
Yes, I don't know as if you should give discretion to the planning department.
I don't think I'd want to put that on them.
No, me
That would
either.
just, we don't want to do that to them.
Because they
Been
could
down
get
that road
fired.
before. So then they're the ones that'll get yelled at.
Oh, wait, no, I changed my mind. I like that idea.
So Dennis, do you have a motion?
Yes, Marty?
If I could shed some light, this is a final site plan review. The planning commission's decision tonight would be either to approve it with conditions, or disapprove it. I would recommend you consider 3 motions. I think there's the site plan, then there's a special approval aspect for the open display, and a special approval aspect for the propane tank. The special approvals require a finding in our ordinance that the planning commission found that the proposed use is not injurious to the district and environs, is not contrary to the spirit and purpose of this ordinance, is not incompatible with already existing uses in the area, will not interfere with orderly development of the area, would not be detrimental to the safety or convenience of vehicular or pedestrian traffic,
will be served adequately by essential public facilities and services, will be consistent in ensuring that the general public health, safety, and welfare will not be infringed upon, and will be in compliance with all township, county, state, and federal laws and regulations. So any motion for approval you should, of the special approvals, you should include those findings in your motion also.
So the special approvals, you're saying, what about the 8-foot fence?
That is part of their open display area, so that's part of the special approval.
Okay, I didn't hear you mention the fence. I heard you say the propane, the outdoor area. What about the roof?
Those are site plan issues. Special approval, they're asking special approval for the outdoor display and sales area. That would involve any screening requirements or fences that would help in regard to that. And then the other special approval would be the propane tank.
So those are two issues on this, and the other stuff falls under.
The regular site plan, and then that's the one. The second one is special approval for the outdoor sales and display. And the third one is the propane tank.
I did have one other question, kind of getting off that topic, was the sidewalk to connect Tractor Supply to SECOR Road. Was there any plans for a sidewalk?
So, getting to that and other things in this, I mean, obviously, I thought that you could maybe do this administratively, but if you'd want to go through this one by one, I could try to commit to whatever I can, what I'm authorized to do, and maybe we can make a decision from there. It's obvious that, you don't want to rely on the planning commission to talk about fencing or screening or any of that. So we can, tell me what we're thinking, and maybe we can try to work this out.
Let me just say, it's not that we don't want to rely on the planning department. It's that as the way that we operate and the way our ordinance is written, they don't have authority to make those decisions.
Okay.
So we're not trying to make it more difficult. We just don't, they don't have that authority.
So do we, just a suggestion to go through these, and I think we already went through a few of them, we agreed to make the changes on. And whether I've been a shortfall on the plan or a shortfall on our side, I do apologize for that, but it was never meant to be, to disobey your ordinance in any, on a few of those. But a few of these are crucial to the way that Tractor Supply does do business.
Joe?
I got a question for Marty. So do we need to do that, or we vote on this other? Does that need to be done? Can we vote on the outside storage? Nancy wants to go through these 11 things, but that's not part of what you read.
I don't think that voting on the special approvals before you vote on the site plan that supports those uses would be appropriate. I think you have to
Yeah, we can
approve
vote
the
on it.
site plan, and then do we want to add on the special approval uses?
And it fits in the category for the commercial where it is.
Yes, C3.
No.
Only during the public hearing, I'm sorry. It's,
We're not supposed to know, I'm sorry.
I have a question about the sign. I mean, what are we doing about that? This is part of what we're,
I think they'd have to bring it back.
okay, so that's what I'm saying. Is there some things they
Give them
can
a
bring back?
variance on the setbacks from the property lines, but we still don't know what the sign is gonna look like.
And if the sign complies with the requirements of the ordinance, that can be administratively approved.
Right, right.
If not, then it would require a waiver. What you would be considering this evening, as Dennis explained, are the setbacks from the two property lines, because they physically cannot meet those setback requirements.
Okay, well, I hate to say this, but I am confused enough to just make a motion to deny, and I know that's not what the whole board wants to do, so somebody else better come up with a motion, or else I'm going to make mine.
I'm going to take a stab at it. And
Okay.
before I begin here, I am open to
Friendly
any
amendments?
friendly amendments. So we make sure we cover out, because we did talk about a lot here today. So, all right. I make a motion to approve the request for a final site plan. I'm going to skip the special approvals. We'll come back to that in a second one. For Tractor Supply in a C3 General Business District for Lambertville Mixed Use LLC located on parcel number 5802-032-05561. Contingent that the following items are addressed. There will be no broadcasting, outdoor intercoms, or outdoor amplified sound or music. The unloading area will adequately serve the needs of the total square footage of the facility as calculated by the square footage of the structure. The lighting should be directed downward to avoid off-site glare. The requestor will submit a separate or seek separate approval for any signs that do not conform with the ordinance, sign ordinance. Features be added to the structure to conceal any mechanical equipment on top of the roof. Instead of an 8-foot chain link fence, the fence be made of a masonry wrought iron material. Aesthetically.
Like a Dundee, are you saying?
I'm trying to, how we can nail this down to be specific.
Like Dundee's?
No.
You can't put that in the motion.
Right.
You know, that's fine on the north side of the building, but it's the back part that's facing the residential that needs to be, you know,
I would like that around lit.
Around the entire perimeter of outdoor sales.
at least on the east and the south side.
The east
The
and south
residential area.
sides.
Is that the only two, Dennis?
I think you're getting into the special approval section or motion,
outdoor
one of your
sales.
future motions regarding special approval for the outdoor sales.
Which one, just
Well-
just the fence?
Disregard my comments on the
But he would need
He's-
the fence for the very far rear, correct? And this part of it?
I think it's in the special approval for outdoor sales,
If you're,
correct?
if you're talking about the property perimeter
Yes,
fencing.
that one.
That would be probably not associated with the outdoor display and sales area. I mean, they all kind of work together in these site plans. Sometimes it's hard to separate, but I think when you're talking about an 8-foot fence of some form around the outdoor display area, well, you ought to approve the outdoor display area before you talk about its fence.
Yeah.
We'll save that one. Karen?
If I may, could we go back to the sign?
Yes, I was going to.
What we're looking for a waiver from is the setback from the north property line and the south property line at the entrance, because they can't meet the setback. Planning department can review the sign that is submitted and approve or have to send it on for waiver, but we cannot vary from the setback requirement unless it's waived by the planning commission.
And that's the one the BZA
Where did you
approved?
mention the sign? Did you mention?
It's number 6 on the bullets.
With, that they approved it, though? Yeah.
They have no other option at the entrance.
to allow the sign waiver to permit the monument sign to be placed as identified on the site plan as the allowance of lesser than 100-foot setback from each side property line.
I would just read the whole thing for that part.
Is an exceptional condition or circumstance that was not complemented at the time of the sign ordinance was enacted, and the sign placement will not impair the intent and purpose of section 419.1922 and is without substantial detriment to public health, safety, and welfare. We covered the roof. The proposed 6-foot-tall decorative wood fencing with landscaping material should extend west to the buffer the loading and unloading area, and shall be extended north to the north property line along the east setback line to provide a noise and visual barrier between the commercial and residential zoning districts to the east, as well as provide a barrier to prevent off-site headlight pollution and flying debris, to include dense foliage that would prevent light pollution to the neighboring properties.
Did you say 6 foot when you first started that?
That's the fence, yes.
I believe per our ordinance, it's gotta be 8, doesn't it? We
Something
need 8
different.
feet.
No, it cannot be.
No,
8
we
feet.
can't.
They want
Not
8
for that.
feet. Our ordinance is 6 feet.
For commercial?
The 8-foot fence will be addressed with the special approval
Yeah.
with the outdoor sales.
10, provide a sidewalk.
Sorry, while we're talking about that, so instead of jumping around, the 6-foot wood fence, basically the privacy fence, is that what we're going for the?
I'm open to amendment on, or a friendly amendment on.
I like the idea of at least a vinyl, something that is more decorative looking than a wooden privacy fence.
We'll include that in the motion item. 10, provide a sidewalk from the developed portion of the site to the existing SECOR Road sidewalk for pedestrian traffic. And to ensure the final site plan bullet points listed above, that all the conditions and contingencies addressed in the letters from the Mannequin Smith Group, Bedford Township Fire Department, Monroe County Road Commission, Monroe County Drainage Commission, I think that completes my motion for the site plan. Marty?
Would you consider also, since this site is dependent upon development and approval and operation of the separate storm drain detention pond that's on adjacent property, without an adjacent storm drain detention pond, this property will have no place for its stormwater to go.
Also contingent that the board approves the shared detention pond.
That that is a special approval item on our next agenda item. We would probably approve that, but I want to make sure that it's constructed and approved by the Drain Commission or whoever, and in operation and ready to receive storm drain water before they get their occupancy permit.
What he said.
That.
So moved.
Do we need to have, it also dependent that we contingent the other items on the other 2 bullet points, the propane and the outdoor space as well for this one?
In my view, the site plan can stand alone without those special approval uses.
Okay,
if
I'm just
need
making
be.
sure.
I mean, that may be a business decision for the applicant to make whether they want to move forward without them.
Okay, thank you. Are you finished with your motion?
I am finished with my motion.
Any other?
Any other
amendments?
amendments?
I'll support that for discussion.
Support.
Motion is support.
Stefan votes yes. Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mrs. Tinnerberry?
No, and I'd like the minutes to reflect that. My no is because there are too many areas that do not conform to our newly approved zoning amendments to our zoning ordinance.
Mr. Zybek? Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Garbrick?
Yes.
Mr. Fritz?
Yes.
Chairman Anger?
Yes. Motion 1 approved. Two more to go.
I'll make a motion for a special approval to allow outdoor display of sales in a C3 General Business District for Lambertville Mixed Use LLC, located on parcel number 5802-032-055-61. Contingent that the following items are addressed. The proposed 19,937 square feet outdoor sales area allowed includes the 15,000 square feet fenced display area to the east of the structure and 2,537 square feet of sidewalk display area to the north side of the structure and 2,400 square feet of trailer and equipment display area to the east of the parking lot. What's we have here for the outdoor display? Bear with me.
I think this is where you would address the fence, correct?
The proposed 8-foot chain link fence and fencing inserts be changed to a masonry type.
Decorative masonry.
Decorative masonry fencing to include.
No, because you can see through it. Around the front.
Around the front portion.
The wrought iron and masonry on the front portion only, then the rest of it would be completely opaque. What area would the front be? That would be facing.
Allowing for an 8-foot chain link fence in the rear.
Right.
Or the
Pardon me?
south side.
No chain link.
No, that's for the people.
I just want to make sure we clarify what you guys are defining as front, because earlier we were talking about making sure we screen the south side from the residence, and now you're saying front, which I assume is the parking lot side.
The north side is the front.
The only view into the fencing area is from the parking lot, which is part of the sales.
But that's what we said, is that part can have the wrought iron masonry. You can see through it.
From the parking side?
From the parking lot, yeah.
Yeah, that's not what I heard a second.
Yeah.
That's my point about the words. They could be different.
So you can still see your product.
Opaque.
We might want to make sure we got northwest, south.
Yeah. The opaque's on the south side.
South and east.
South and east.
Opaque.
You like that word?
I want to make sure it was in there.
Okay.
Can you spell it?
And also include the outdoor display area for sales shall only relate to and be part of the business of the principal use permitted in the main C3 building on the site. No unrelated use shall be permitted for the outdoor display area for sales, and there shall be no standalone outdoor display area for sales, including no tents.
Any friendly amendments?
Friendly amendments?
I guess this is a part that can be put in on the propane?
No, we have to do
That's
this third one, yep.
Next, okay. Okay.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have support?
Support.
Joe, support.
Stefan votes yes. Mr. Garver?
Yes.
Mrs. Tinneberry?
No, because the outdoor area exceeds the ground floor area of the building.
Mr. Zybeck?
No, same reason.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Mr. Fritz?
Yes.
Chairman Anger?
Yes. Motion approved.
I also make a motion to approve the special request to allow propane filling station for Tractor Supply in the C3 General Business District on parcel number 5802-032-05561. Contingent that the following items are addressed. The 1,000-gallon propane tank filling station includes shielding from the front and parking areas by an opaque wall made with material and at a height and width and subject to a color or color scheme coordinated with the main building on site. That it complies with all applicable building, fire, state, and local codes to include, as we talked about earlier, NFPA 58, which covers the storage, handling, and dispersal of liquefied petroleum gas.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Can we make sure it says not to exceed 1,000 gallons? Is in this summary, they talk about 2,000. I like to see not to exceed 1,000. And maybe
Not-
that's what you meant to say, but I didn't hear it, not to exceed.
Not to exceed 1,000.
Thanks.
No more than one bulk storage tank on the site.
If I may.
Yes.
The 2,000 is what we allow up to by ordinance, so you can restrict that through the special approval process to 1,000 gallons.
We'll keep that at 1,000 gallons.
Right.
Thank you. Parking of delivery trucks overnight and storage of any delivery trucks on site is prohibited.
I think you might need to address the letters again because, especially with the fire department letter as well.
That all conditions and contingencies of the Bedford Township Fire Department are met. And Mannequin Smith Group. Covered all the items there. If there's any other.
Did we get everything, Marty?
Sounds good.
All right. I have a motion. Do I have support?
Stefan votes yes. Mr. Garver?
Yes.
Mrs. Tinneberry?
No,
Mr. Zybeck?
No.
Mr. Jenkins?
No.
Mr. Fritz?
Yes.
Chairman Anger?
Yes. Motion approved. I think that finishes item A. Next, we'll move on to item B, which is a request for a final site plan approval for a shared detention pond to serve 4 parcels, 5802-032-05561, 5802-032-05562, 5802-032-05563, and 5802-032-055-065. for Lambertville Mixed Use LLC, with the pond being located on parcel number 5802-032-05565, located on the south side of Stearns Road, east of SECOR Road, Lambertville, Michigan. Karen.
This project, the applicant is seeking approval for a shared detention pond to serve 4 individual parcels. The shared detention pond will be developed on parcel 5802-032-055-65, and a drainage maintenance agreement has been drafted. Site plans have been submitted for 2 of the 4 sites, where the site plan for Hampton Manor was approved on August 28th, and Tractor Supply is being considered this evening. Although at this time there has been no official submittal of the remaining 2 parcels, the detention basin has been reviewed and approved to serve all 4 parcels. Monroe County Drain Commission reviewed and approved the shared detention pond to serve all 4 parcels with comments and conditions on 9/20/2019. Monroe County Drain Commission has approved the soil erosion sedimentation control on August 22nd, 2019, and the Manick and Smith Group reviewed and approved the comments and conditions on September 25th, 2019. A detention pond permit must be obtained through the building department prior to beginning the pond construction, and a soil erosion control permit must be obtained from the Monroe County Drain Commission prior to construction. Per the email from the Monroe County Drain Commission dated 9/23/19, the applicant must continue to work on securing the state Eagle permits, and all drainage maintenance agreements must be recorded. Therefore, any site plan approval shall be conditioned upon addressing all comments and/or conditions of the Monroe County Drain Commission and the Manick and Smith Group review letters, and obtaining all required permits.
Thank you, Karen. Do we have a representative for, I guess that's the same people. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Good evening, my name is Jim Jacobs, here tonight to represent the applicant in the pond here. We do have the easements filed. The permit for the pond is in hand pending approval, and the soil erosion permit is in place.
Thank you.
And the Drain Commission is also approved and in place. The missing link in all of that is the state review from Eagle, and we can get the pond in place without that. It's the full development of the connection and some of the parking arrangements for the completion of the Tractor Supply site that rely on the full completion of the Eagle review. It's been approved, but we're waiting for the completion of the public hearing process.
And just so I can stay on record, it is completely out of the wetland area, the pond as well.
The pond itself is, yes.
That's, I saw that on the, I just wanted to mention it, and
Yes.
I actually like the location of it because it adds an extra buffer layer to the back subdivision there as well.
That was a big part of the discussion and the placement of that.
Nancy?
Since this is servicing all 4 parcels, who will be maintaining, mowing? We have subdivisions, developments that go in, and it ends up nobody maintains the drainage area. They get overgrown, they back up, they have stagnant water. So because it's dealing with all 4 parcels, is anyone taking responsibility for maintaining?
I believe that is shared.
We have a shared detention pond agreement recorded on all 4 parcels as far as the cost and the maintenance and upkeep of the detention pond. As far as who's personally going to do it, I don't know.
Well, I mean, Karen, is there any recourse from the planning department once we start getting calls of the neighbors complaining that there's stagnant water and it smells?
We have asked to have a copy of the maintenance agreement and the cross easement agreement, so we will have that on record as to who we should contact if we start getting calls.
And it's further assistance to that. The way the Drain Commission approval process works these days is that you have to enter into a maintenance agreement with them that allows them the right to come in and maintain it if you don't. So that would be attached to that last parcel. So if it's not maintained properly and the Drain Commission has to come in, then it gets billed to the tax Bill, on that last parcel.
Just like Jacob Supply is, right?
Correct.
Same
Any development now won't get approval unless you sign that maintenance agreement.
Okay, but with that last part that you said about the tax bill?
That's how it gets, if they have to do the work, then it gets put on
Okay.
an assessment.
They put a
to-
drain assessment, okay, then, okay, got it.
Yep. At least that's my understanding.
Any other questions? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve final site plan for the shared detention basin on parcel number 5802-032-055-065. Shared detention basin for R2A single-family residential, proposed RT two-family residential, and for the, what's the proposed for the 9 acres?
It's located on the 9-acre parcel.
Okay, I've got a couple of parcel numbers missing. For all the parcels listed on the site analysis.
That's good.
Subject to the approval from the comments and conditions of the Monroe County Drain Commission, Manick and Smith Group, review letters and obtaining all required permits from Eagle.
Yes. That's the new DEQ.
Yeah, I know. New governor, new name.
I'll second that. Oh, were you done?
I'm done.
Okay, second.
Mr. Jenkins.
Yes.
Mrs. Tinneberry.
Yes.
Mr. Zybek.
Yes.
Mr. Garver.
Yes.
Stefan votes yes. Mr. Fritz.
Yes.
Chairman Ager.
Yes. Motion approved.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Last on our agenda tonight is a request for final site plan approval for Pinnacle I for Quail Meadows LLC, parcel number 5802-031-09007, located on the north side of Smith Road, west of SECOR Road, otherwise known as 6601 SECOR Road, Lambertville, Michigan. Karen?
Again, the applicant is Quail Meadows LLC. The authorized representative is Scott Bolin. The location is 6601 SECOR Road, the northwest corner of Smith and SECOR Roads. Engineers Glass City Engineering and Survey, and the architect is Architecture by Design. The zoning is C1 PUD, local business, planned unit development on a 2.12 acre parcel. The subject vacant C1 PUD zone 2.12 acre parcel is located on the northwest corner of Smith Road and SECOR Road and is within the villas at Summerlin Lakes PUD. The developer is proposing a two-story multi-unit structure oriented to face SECOR Road with a building footprint of 6,103 square feet and a total usable floor space of 9,178 square feet. The known tenant usable floor space, including both floors, is 7,648 square feet, with the second unit consisting of 1,530 square feet. While the site address is SECOR Road, access to the lot is made from Summerlin Lakes Drive with no direct ingress-egress from Smith Road or SECOR Road. The subject parcel and the parcel to the west are both C1 zoned and are within the villas at Summerlin Lakes PUD, however, are not included in the master deed with the residential portion of the villas at Summerlin Lakes. The residential property to the north is within the villas at Summerlin Lakes PUD, and the property to the east, located on the east side of SECOR Road, is R2A, one-family residentially zone. The southeast corner of Smith and SECOR Roads is C1 local business zone, and the parcels to the south are PBO professional and business office zone. All surrounding parcels are being utilized in accordance with the zoning, with the exception of the property located on the northeast corner of SECOR and Smith intersection, which is vacant at this time. The master plan designates the intersection area as neighborhood business. Building setbacks and height requirements. The overall building is 24 feet in height, where 30 feet is permitted by ordinance. Due to the subject site being located within the villas at Summerlin Lakes PUD, and the site having 3 front yards, the rear, the west is yard setback, as Summerlin Lakes Drive is categorized as a W road as described in section 400-1800. Schedule of regulations is 25 feet from the road right-of-way, where a 40-foot setback is provided. The setback along Smith Road is 90 feet, where 52 feet is required. The east setback is 130 feet from the road right-of-way where 52 feet is required by ordinance, and the north setback is 52 feet where 20 feet is required per ordinance. Parking is provided on the north, east, and south of the structure where parking is permitted within the front yard, subject to 50% of the required front yard remaining as green space. Parking spaces is calculated by section 419.04. For the proposed use requires 70 spaces where 74 spaces are provided. It should be noted that the provided parking spaces includes only that is required for identified medical use. The second unit use has not yet been determined, thus requiring further review of parking spaces provided once the use is known. Approval shall be subject to further review of the parking requirements when the second unit is determined. It shall also be kept in mind, depending on the use, it might be found that patrons may be those that are visiting the eye care facility and those that are residents of the villas at Summerlin Lakes, as a walkable community is being provided with sidewalk connections within the community. Fencing and screening, buffering, and landscaping. The dumpster is located on the southwest corner of the subject site. While the dumpster location is behind the structure due to the 3 front yards, the dumpster is located in a front yard and being screened with rough sawn wood and 6-foot arborvitaes. The Planning Commission shall review and comment on the dumpster location. Loading and unloading, no designated loading and unloading areas proposed. The provided truck route is based on 36-foot-long trucks. It shall be confirmed no large truck deliveries will be made to the site, as 1 10-by-70 loading unloading area is required by ordinance for a structure between 5,001 and 20,000 square feet. Proposed truck route has been included. I don't know, I kind of didn't finish that sentence.
Make it up.
For fencing, no fencing is proposed for the site. It should, however, be recognized that in accordance with the approved PUD, a fence with landscaping to match the fencing that is included in the residential portion of the development will be installed along the north side of the subject site for buffering purposes between the C1 use and the residential use to the north. Landscaping, as there is no detention basin on site, no detention basin landscaping will be required. Bradford pears are proposed around the entire site with Japanese maples, lilies, boxwoods, and hydrangeas, completing the entrance landscaping, sign landscaping, and foundation plantings. The remainder of the unpaved area will consist of a grassy area. Site lighting. There are 2 double head fixtures with the front parking area and 5 single head fixtures surrounding the parking lot. It shall be confirmed the fixtures do not exceed 20 feet in height, and all lighting is directed downward to avoid off-site glare. The provided illumination plan meets the requirements of the ordinance where a commercial zoning district is adjacent to a residential zoning district. It shall also be confirmed there are no building-mounted lighting fixtures. Architectural requirements. The elevation plan shows an overall building height of 24 feet with building materials consistent on all sides of manufactured stone veneer, vinyl split, shake siding, and fiberglass shingle roofing. The color scheme shall be confirmed. Signage has not been proposed with this submittal. Sanitary sewer municipal water are available to the site. Also, as part of the approved PUD, sidewalks will be installed along the south and east perimeters of the subject site. Letters of approval have been received from the Manikin Smith Group with comments and conditions on October 1, 2019, the Bedford Township Fire Department with comments and conditions on July 15, the Monroe County Road Commission with comments and conditions on September 4, the Monroe County Drain Commission with comments and conditions on October 3rd. Any site plan approval shall be conditioned upon addressing all comments and conditions of the MCDC, MCRC, BTFD, and MSG, submitting the sign design to the Planning Department for review on compliance with the sign ordinance. No loading, unloading area is required, confirming that loading and unloading meets the requirements for the uses, so not to utilize required parking spaces for loading and unloading purposes. Light fixtures do not exceed 20 feet in height and are directed downward to avoid off-site glare. Confirm there are no building-mounted light fixtures, and if there are, the fixtures must meet the lighting requirements of Section 419.08. Submit the site plan once the second unit is determined for further review of parking requirements.
How
Thank you, Karen.
refreshing. How refreshing. I'm sorry that our front row left because this is a nice fitted site plan for our ordinance. It's beautiful.
Do we have a representative for Pinnacle Eye Group? If you could just state your name and address for the record.
Scott Boland, 6622 Summerlin Boulevard, Lambertville.
Thank you. Anything you'd like to add to Karen's summary?
How do you like me now, Nancy?
I like it, I like it. Hey, this is beautiful. I only wish this was the beginning, but it's the end, which is nicer, actually.
No, you know, I think it fits the property and it's what we wanted there. It's not only, it's moving an existing company and bringing a new company to Bedford, so.
This was the originally set up to possibly be two separate places, correct? And
It is.
Yeah, so this is.
There's another lot.
Oh, there's still another lot on the other
west
side of the,
us, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, this is the easterly lot.
But in the building, excuse me, in the building, is majority of it going to be for Dr. Lehman?
Yes.
And then there will be a small,
Right now, there's a very small space that potentially that it's designed for them to grow into. So they may lease it out to somebody, you know, on a short term until they grow, or they may already be growing into it, so.
no pediatricians, right?
No, not yet. Not that I know of. They're staying there, the other place.
I could use a U of M orthopedic surgeon if you could just get one of those in there.
Sure.
Joe can get you into one.
There was a question from the Monroe County Drain Commissioner, and they have it.
Speak in the microphone.
They want you to speak in the mic.
On the Monroe County Drain Commissioner sheet, they wanted to know if it was the I Center or just Pinnacle I, and it's CENTERE. Back in the other pages, it was Center. So I don't know if you need to clarify that or not. It's on the Drain Commission.
Just British, British customers and American.
Yeah.
They may be correct, I may
Huh?
have just inadvertently.
Well, that's
omitted
what I
the last-
figured, but I just, they asked that, that's what their conditional approved. They just wanted that clarified.
I think that's been addressed.
I want to say thank you for the beautiful landscaping. I mean, not just plain old arborvitae, but you've got some beautiful, I'll just drive through there just to see the flowers in the spring. Gorgeous.
A motion?
I will entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to grant site plan approval. Rushed myself here. Thank you. Site plan approval for Quail Meadows LLC on parcel number 5802-031-09007, 6601 SECOR Road in Lambertville. Subject to addressing all the comments and conditions of the Monroe County Drain Commission, Monroe County Road Commission, Bedford Township Fire Department, and Manic Smith Group, and submitting the sign designs to the Planning Department for review on compliance with the sign ordinance. 3, no loading, unloading areas required, confirming loading, unloading meets the requirements for the uses so as not to utilize required parking spaces for loading, unloading purposes. 5, light fixtures do not exceed 20 feet in height and are directed downward to avoid off-site glare, in other words, full cutoff. Confirm there are no building-mounted light fixtures, and if there are, the fixtures must meet the lighting requirements of section 400.1908. And 7, submit the site plan once the second unit use is determined for further review of parking requirements.
Second. Oh, Marty.
Oh,
I might ask for consideration. Apparently, this development does not have a direct access from SECOR or Smith Road, but instead off of a private road, Summerlin Lakes Drive. I'd like to see a recorded egress road easement for the benefit of this parcel on that private road.
Oh, that's a good idea.
For construction.
I'll second that. No, I mean, I think it's a good idea.
That's a good idea.
It's right
Because
there
what
on-
if they close the
It's under the
road?
road commission, they talk about it.
So that was
I know, but
successfully added to
one-
that motion and supported, correct?
He wanted it.
Is it Jenkins?
Right, right. Well, that's- they-
Yeah.
Mr. Jenkins?
Jenkins? Do you accept that?
Oh, I was, yes.
Mr. Jenkins?
Yes.
Ms. Tinnerberry?
Yes.
Mr. Zybeck?
Yes.
Mr. Garbrick?
Abstain.
Stefan votes yes. Mr. Fritz?
Yes.
Chairman Nagy?
Yes. Motion approved.
Who's going to draw that up? The road commissioner, or who draws that up?
I think it's between the developer and the condominium association that deals with the festival.
Oh, I see. It's all the same person. It's him.
All right. Next on our agenda is public comment. This is for anybody that's left that would like to speak on anything. Yep. Nope, up to the podium, please.
Antoinette Banks, 3398 Quail Hollow, Lambertville. I have a question regarding the tractor supply.
Ma'am, can you move your microphone down?
Regarding the tractor supply, approval, tentative, corrections, things that still need to be done. I understood that you're going to cap it not to exceed 1,000-gallon tanks. How many tanks will we see in our neighborhood?
One.
Just one?
What does she mean, her neighborhood? You mean at the Tractor Supply building?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
What was your question? How many tanks?
How many?
They're allowed one 1,000-gallon tank.
Yeah, but are you asking if they're gonna have the 20 pounds and the 30 pounds filled there? Or you
What
just,
will I see outside in their sales area? Will there be one 1,000-gallon, or will there
May I,
be
Mr.
a
Chairman?
lot?
The motion included one 1,000-gallon tank for bulk storage and distribution at that facility.
Okay. And one truck
That can fill it.
filling? Yeah,
Right. Correct.
yeah. And not at night?
They probably won't be open at night, so.
There's no, I'm sure we can talk about noise ordinances and
Okay.
things like that that probably would prevent maybe some of the issues maybe you're alluding to.
And they're not open to fill it, right?
Yeah, because like right now, the neighborhood is so quiet, and you can really hear the least little bit of sound. That's what's so beautiful about Bedford and Lambertville. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we move on to new information. Karen, do you have anything?
We will be having a meeting on the 23rd, 2 weeks from tonight.
Thank you.
Is it going to contain anything like we had tonight? Or is it going to?
I'm not going to comment on that right now.
Can I ask you a question? Marty?
Not until
do I
staff
have
are
to sign? Do I have to sign that? If I voted no, do I have to sign it?
Yes.
Who said? Who said I have to?
It's an unwritten
Governor?
law.
Well, I'm just resigning. That's what.
Is that all it took?
Oh, buddy.
All right, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
I don't know who to direct this to, but I would like to be able to see, like I went online to see what's, to follow some of the things that go through us, like the ordinance one. And to see if things are coming back, like if it passes and it's coming back to us, I'd like to see that beforehand. I went online and I could see the minutes of the Bedford Township, but I would like to see, what they decided, like, is there any way we can be sent those, or, I mean,
This board or the township
the
board?
township board?
You can get on it.
I mean, for all of us. Pardon? Okay. Could they just? Well, I know I could, But I've got another meeting that night.
Mr. Fritz, and they are on the township website as well, all of the minutes.
Well, I went on there, and these minutes are on there, but nothing what happened did, and this is after a couple of weeks. And I don't know if they've been, just haven't been put on there yet,
Okay.
but I mean, I could go back in. I didn't go this week, because I
Correct
knew
me
that
if
the
I'm wrong, doesn't
ordinance
it take the next one to approve them before they get posted?
Correct. We do not post unofficial minutes, and they don't become official until they've been approved. So, for instance, last week's or 2 weeks ago meeting from Planning Commission won't be on there
2 weeks in, okay,
because you approved those this evening, making them official.
and that makes sense.
Except they're already on there. I put them on today.
Yeah, if they're on there, okay, that's fine. And, you know, it won't always be needed, but it would have been nice just to know.
And I'll just say, if you do need something, you can call either one of us.
Oh,
and
you guys are the best.
We'll get them for you.
They are the
Record.
best. They're the best, forget about the rest.
Well, I don't know, since Dennis left, we have to sometimes make some adjustments.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn at this point.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None.